Welcome to this video, guys, and in this video we are going to talk about how to get started with analytics. Now I would not suggest you that you should learn statistics and you should know that while learning you need to know statistics before getting into data science, but I would like to tell you basically why you need statistics, and don't consider statistics as a separate entity while learning data science. Understand statistics as a part. So I'm going to create one example for you, and with the help of this example I'm going to show you how you can understand why you need how do you get started with analytics and why you need statistics basically. Now just think about this example over here. So I've got this example where you have day 1 to day 365. I have created this data randomly over here, and in this data, if you can see that we have got all 365 values. And just think about this data. I have a data collected from a taxi driver, and if you just think that I'm going out on the road and I'm just picking up one taxi driver and asking this taxi driver how much you earn in a day, right? Now what do you think, what would be the possible reply for this guy, right? Just looking at this data. So he might have end up saying that, you know what, I earn $700, right, per day, right? Now just look at this $700, right? Exact amount. Does he exactly earn $700 at any given point in time? It's very rare that he will earn exactly $700 at any point in time in the day, or in a year, right? If he works for probably 3-4 years, exact 700 I'm talking about, right? The number he's throwing at me is $700, and I just wanted to know that, do you ever earn $700 exactly? And the answer would be no. Now the reason this guy is throwing this number to me, because if he tells me that, you know what, on day 1 I earned 626, on day 2 I earned 617, and day 3 I had 1017 bucks. Probably if he tells me the 365 unit data, I might not be able to make sense of what he's trying to tell me. Now, however, if he gives me this number over here, right, I will have exact idea why, like how much he would be earning and what will be his earning likes in a month. Probably I can just assume safely that if he works for 30 days in a month, probably he might be earning this much of amount in a month. $21,000 is what his earning would be. What would be his social economical status? What would be, like, how much he would be spending on his livelihood, how much he would be spending on various other things as well. So the thing is that just by throwing this number, now how does this number come in existence? And most of you might have guessed it right, that this taxi driver actually gave me an average value, right, per day. Now, how this average value actually got? So if he's earning, say for example, if I call D1 as day 1 earning, and D2 as day 2 earning, and D3 as day 3 earning, and I keep on doing this for so on and so forth till day 365 over here, and I divide by the total number of elements. So total number of elements are 1, 2, 3, and up to 365. These are 365 elements. If I divide by that number, I am getting one average earning, like how much he's earning on an average. So I got that number over here, right? And this number is $700. Now this number is not, he might not have calculated the average exactly, but he knows that if he gives you $700, you will be in better position to judge or execute or understand this number from day 1 to day 365, and you will be in better position to judge those numbers, right? So now this is the guy, right, who doesn't understand statistics at all, but he's able to throw one number, and this number in a statistical form, this 700 number in a statistical form, is actually called as average in general term, right? Average in general term, and in statistical term it is called as mean, right? It is called as mean. And if you look for what exactly mean is nothing but it has been called as measures of central tendency or central tendency measures. Tendency, right, or measures of central tendency, whatever you want to call it, it depends upon what you want to call it, right? It's called central tendency measures. Now what is this central tendency measure exactly? Which means that I want to find out a number which is in the middle of the total values I have. Now in this case we have 365 values. There might be a possibility that I have 36,500 values, or 3.65, or this multiplied by 10 to the power 3, or 30 values as well. There could be a number of logs. Now in that case, even then, average would be a term which will give you exact idea about your data. So you need to understand we have something called as measures of central tendency or central tendency measures, and in which we have three parts. One is called, the first one is called mean. So I will write this down over here. This is called mean, right? This is mean. And the second value is called median, right? Median over here. And the third value is called mode over here, right? This is called mode. Now the mean is our simple average, right? So whenever we talk about mean value, just think about that. Okay, this is now whenever I'm saying mean, you can condition like think of that Sudhanshu is talking about then average value. And how we calculate average value? We calculate all the values combined together divided by total number of elements. It's called mean value. But this guy over here who's throwing $700 as a unit to me, is he actually telling me mean or is telling me something else, right? So most probably this may confuse you a bit more, right? And I want you to get confused for 5 minutes so that I can resolve your doubts and I can make you understand what I'm talking about. So first thing first, what you have got is $700. I want you to remember this number, and this mean is something which till now we understood, right? What is mean? And this mean is $700 from this data. Now just think about some situations, right? For example, if this guy, because of some emergencies or some strikes which are going on, or somebody gave him a tip, right? And instead of that, this guy might have earned $2,000, or I would say $3,000 on a certain day, right? What will happen, right? Just think about this, right? So on this particular day, he's not earning 737, he's earning $2,900, right? Someday he's not earning 1,700, he's earning say $3,157, right? What will happen? Now just think about this data, right? Now if I'll ask this guy once again, right, how much you earn in a day, right? He will still say $700. 700. He will not say. Now if this coincident which has happened, just this coincident over here which happened over here, he might have earned 4 days of money over here, right, out of 365. And if this this incident happens like 10 times in a day, probably he might have earned 40 days salary in one day, or maybe in 10 days. Then this average which is showing me right now would not be 700, it would be probably 800 or 760. Why? Because when you add them all together, like 626, then you add 617, then you add, right, 1017, 1017, and so on and so forth. And earlier when he was earning 700 something, 706 and blah blah stuff, and then divided by that number, and now this 706 is actually 3000, right, and near about 3000. So probably the average value will actually jump from 700 to some other number which will be like 780, or maybe probably 800 as well, right? Let's for the simplicity, let's understand that this guy is earning 800 rupees. But whenever I'll ask him, right, how much you earn in a day, he just ignores all these values. He safely ignores all these 3000 or the values over here and say that, you know what, I earn 700 bucks per day. Now that's where the problem arises, because he is not earning 700 $700, but he's telling you that 700 is dollar is the average earning. Now what exactly is happening over here is something which we need to find out. Okay, so what we want to do is we wanted to talk about more on this, right? Now let's understand what is this median thing, right? Let's understand what is this median thing, and then we'll probably in better situation to talk about that, right? So let's understand what is this median. So median is my data when I divide my data in two equal frequency bins. If I divide my data, if I change my data in ascending or descending order, if I change my data in ascending or descending order and divide my data in two equal frequency bins. Now what is that two equal frequency bins means? That if I have data over here and I divide my data from here, the number of elements on LHS, left hand side, will be equal to number of elements on right hand side, right? This will be considered as my, like this point will be considered as my median value, where I'm dividing my data into two equal frequency bins. I must be wondering like how this can happen, right? In a way. Now it can happen very easily, right? I'll just show you, right, how this can happen. Just think, someday he's earning like 500 bucks, and then someday 550, then 576, and most of the time he's earning like 607, 597, and so on and so forth. And this number, near about this number, he's earning say for like 200 days, right? And for 165 days he is earning somewhere around say 700 bucks, and then 720 bucks, and say 1100 bucks, and someday he's earning like $1035, and so on and so forth, right? Or someday $1900 as well, right? Now just think, if I pick up this all data and align that data in ascending or descending order, right, what will happen? We'll get 500, then we'll get 507, then I'll get 500 say 10, then 512, and then blah 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 stuff, and then there will be 3000 which he earns rarely, right? 3175 which he earns rarely, then there will be 2900 which he earns rarely, and then most of the values will be 1475, 1075, and so on and so forth. If I find out the middle value of this data, right, which will be close to 650, there will be most of the time values which are lying near about this. So if I divide my data in equal frequency bins, where the number of elements on the left hand side will be equal to the number of elements on the right hand side, then this middle value will be called as median value, right? Now the point is that why we even need median value, right? And why we can't just go for the average, and why it is not impacting this, right? So to do this, I would like to give you one example over here, this total value, and why it will start making sense. So let me just pick up one example over here on this slate. Now just think about a situation, right? I have a college, right, over here, college number A, and I have a college B over here, and this college is actually creating or maybe like once the people graduate from this college, they are earning near about 9 lakhs, then there's 8.5 lakhs, right? I'm talking about in Indian currency, 8.5 lakhs, right? Or you can just think about, say, let me just pick that in thousand, say. So these people are getting like 65,000 as an annual 65,000 K annual package. Then some people are getting like 75, right? And some people are getting 95. Some people are getting 120,000, right? So you will get 120,000 as well. So it will be like 120,000. And some people are getting 130,000 as well. Some people are getting like 55,000, and so on and so forth, right? And this is right, it just keeps on going, right? Now the mean package of these guys, is somewhere around 55, or I can say safely say 65K, right? So this college publishes, you know what, in my college people get the mean package of 65,000. And if you probably take admission over here, this is the average what we, like, our student get offered. Now just look at this college, right, where the placement comes. So this guy, like, people are getting say 45,000 K, then 35,000 K, then that 25K, and then you have got 55K, right, and then 48K, and then you have 27K, and then if you just keeps on going, like, it's just near about 50K and so on. And then some company, some student actually got a very high placement, which is like $225,000 salary. Like, it's like class apart, right? So they've got 300,000 as an annual package. And some people also got 350,000 average package, right? Now what this guy has done, this college has done, they have published that, you know what, the mean package offered to my student is actually 85,000, right, US dollars. Now if you notice here, right, this is a big problem, right? You are actually lying from the data. So mean is not the representation. First thing you need to understand is that mean is not the right representation of this data. In this case, you should not be picking up mean over here at all, because in this case mean is the true representation of the data, but in this case mean is not the true representation of the data. Now if mean is not the true representation of the data, how would you pick up the true representation of the data? Now if one student takes admission in your college by thinking that the mean like placement or the package offered to the students is 85K, right, US dollars, probably you are actually misleading the student and giving wrong information, and this is more like cheating, right? You should not be doing that for your students. So it's very difficult for you to justify what you are doing right now. So how to deal with this business problem, I'll see you in the next video. We'll talk about more in terms of how we can solve this problem, and where exactly statistics actually help us out. I'll see you in the next video.